Good morning. He's done it again. Yes, I'm talking about Donald Trump. He continues to embarrass our country. Now, London suffered a horrific terror attack on Saturday night. And the very first thing Donald Trump does is tweet, of course, his favorite mode of communication. He gets his thumbs out and starts criticizing the mayor of London, who, by the way, happens to be a Muslim. This is what the mayor of London actually said after his city was rocked by a terror attack. That for some miracle did not kill hundreds of people. Okay? Not 3,000, like what happened in New York under Giuliani's watch. But this is what the mayor of London said. Quote, Londoners in the next few days will see enhanced police presence. This is nothing to be alarmed about. Do not be alarmed. They are there to protect you. The terror attack is over. There is no new threats that we know of that are imminent. Do not be alarmed, but the police are there to be vigilant and to protect you. Now, remember yesterday when I talked about reading the Bible or the Quran and twisting it all around? Well, this is what Donald Trump heard. Oh, 7 people were killed and 48 were stabbed and injured and there's nothing to be alarmed about. That's not what the mayor of London said. But it's what Donald Trump heard, and this should concern us. Because Donald Trump got on his phone and started tweeting, and he called the mayor of London pathetic. Can you imagine the reaction in the United States if after 9/11, any member of the British, French, German, any government would have tweeted or made a comment that called George W. Bush or Mayor Rudy Giuliani pathetic? When they tried to calm Americans down after 3,000 of our innocent American citizens were murdered? Can you imagine the outrage? Here is Donald Trump. Instead of sending condolences, he's calling the mayor pathetic, saying that the mayor is soft coding the threat. That's not what the mayor did. It's not what the mayor said. What is more frightening is that is what Donald Trump heard. Let me repeat it to you in case you didn't get it the first time. I got it the first time because I heard it live. I heard the mayor give this speech, the mayor of London. Londoners in the next hours and the next several days will see an enhanced police presence. Do not be alarmed. Now, it didn't say don't be alarmed that we were attacked. It said don't be alarmed if you see a lot of police around, armed police. Because remember, there was a time when the London police were not armed. They didn't carry guns. They didn't need guns. Okay? And let me make something else very clear, Mr. Trump. London has never had 3,000 of its citizens murdered in one day within a period of 3.5 hours. Only America has that little trophy. So London must be doing something right. London has never had 20 innocent little kindergartners killed in one of their schools. Only America gets that trophy. London doesn't have teenagers wearing trench coats and building pipe bombs out of gasoline tanks and propane tanks and trying to blow up their school. Only Colorado in America, Columbine, gets that trophy. So maybe Donald Trump, instead of calling the mayor of London pathetic and soft on terror, should maybe go over to London and take a seminar. Maybe a lot of our government officials who are supposed to protect us from getting our people, 3,000 of our people killed in one day, should go take a seminar over in London. We are the ones who have the privilege of experiencing one of the worst terror attacks in world history in one day, in 3.5 hours. 3,000 innocent people killed, many crippled, disabled, and maimed for life. Maybe Donald Trump should take a lesson from some of his other people that are supposed to be his allies, instead of tweeting how pathetic they are and how soft on terror they are. Maybe Donald Trump should go back and say, how did we possibly let 19 single men buy one-way tickets halfway across the country, not with one piece of luggage in their possession, in one day, all taking off around the same time, all with Arabic names. How did we miss that in 2001? How did we miss it? But not one foreign allied leader called George W. Bush or Mayor Giuliani or American Airlines or United Airlines pathetic. They were pathetic. The airlines were pathetic. They did not do their job. Oh yeah, you got a box cutter in your carry-on luggage? Well, that's okay. You're buying a one-way ticket, no luggage, whatever. We don't care. We can't pronounce your name? Oh, that's okay. Yeah, the airlines were pathetic on 9/11/2001. And guess what the government did? They made it so that the government, your tax dollars, paid off the victims. Millions of dollars the victims got. But not from the people who were actually responsible for those terrorists getting on those planes. The airlines, well, they were protected. You weren't allowed to sue the airlines for their negligence, which they were. The government stepped in because all the airlines would have gone bankrupt with the lawsuits of the 3,000 victims, the 3,000 dead, not to mention the families of the injured who would have sued them. They would have been bankrupt. We would have no airlines flying in America. So the government stepped in after 9/11 to protect the almighty airline who helped to cause 9/11. They did. They weren't on their toes. Even back in 2001, those 19 guys should have raised red flags. No luggage, one-way tickets, box cutters and luggage, carry-on luggage. Should have raised a red flag. Not to mention that their visas had expired. All 19 of them had overstayed their visas, and yet they had no problem getting on those planes, flying them into buildings, killing a lot of Americans. I'm sorry, guys, that's pathetic. I am still angry because I watched 9/11 as it happened. And then for the next month, every single day, 24 hours a day almost, I watched the coverage of the victims. I watched all the specials. I watched Telling Nicholas, where a little boy was told that his mother was never coming home because she was in the towers. I saw him cry. And then I saw him go out and make a little Muslim friend. Because it wasn't his little Muslim friend who flew the planes into the towers. It was the radical jihadists. Out of the mouths of babes and in the eyes of a child, everything looks different. That's a good show to watch, by the way. It was on HBO. If you can get it, get it. I have it recorded on VHS of all things, but it's a very good show. It's called Telling Nicholas, and it'll teach you something if you get to see it. I strongly recommend it. But imagine on September 12th, 2001, if the British Prime Minister or the Mayor of London had given a press conference calling Rudy Giuliani pathetic. or George W. Bush. Pathetic. Soft on terror. Imagine the outcry. Donald Trump has no problem doing it. Now, I don't know, because I remember I told you in the beginning, the mayor of London is a Muslim. And we know Donald Trump don't like Muslims. Don't like them. According to Kellyanne Conway, who unfortunately I had to watch on the Today Show today, which kind of depresses me. I thought she was banned from all the major networks because she always lies. According to her, when our president, the president of the United States, talked to Theresa May, the Prime Minister of England, he gave his condolences and said that America stands with you. Then he got right back on his Twitter, again bashed the mayor of London, and then pushed his travel ban. See, George W. Bush, Bill Clinton, George W. Bush, President Obama, when there was a tragedy anywhere in the world, they would come out, they wouldn't tweet about it, first of all. Even Obama never tweeted about it. He would come out and he would actually cry with the victims. He would shed tears. I'll never forget when Newtown happened and he cried for those poor little kindergarten children that would never see first grade. And he said, this must end. He cried. He never said, ooh, what's in this for me? Donald Trump, it's all about what's in it for him. He uses this tragedy, and we don't even know who these attackers were. For all we know, they have lived in England since the day they popped out of their mommy's uterus. They're probably British citizens. One of them, I believe, is actually a British citizen. Not a foreigner, not a refugee who snuck in. Homegrown, born and raised, good British citizen. God save the Queen. Now let me go out and get radicalized because something's wrong with my life, so I'm going to go get radicalized and go kill a bunch of people in the name of Allah Akbar. That's what happens. There is no proof right now or any evidence that these three attackers were from anywhere but good old London, England. Actually, one of them, they say he has ties to Ireland. Anyone remember the Irish Republican Army? They used to be Britain's biggest threat. They weren't radical Islam terrorists. They were just Irish terrorists. They were terrorists. They were pissed at England. They bombed Harrods. Terrorists come in all shapes and sizes. And it usually, well, that one was religion as well. Catholics, Protestants, whatever. But they don't have to be Muslim. See? The Protestants hate the Catholics. The Church of England hates the Catholics. So, religion, again, it's all religion. But it's not just Muslims. And our president isn't helping. The job of the American president, when there is a tragedy in a country that we consider one of our greatest allies, like our BFF, is not to call any one of their leaders pathetic. It is to offer our condolences and any assistance we can be to them. Our prayers for the families and the victims and those who were killed. That's it. Shut up, Donald. That's all you say. You want to make it political? Wait a little bit. But the first thing he tweets is, oh my God, the mayor says there was a terror attack, but there's no need to be alarmed. And that's not even what the dude said. Okay? The dude said you're going to see a lot of armed police on the streets, which is not normal. You know, what if you were in your town right now and you walked outside and you didn't see the news, you knew nothing about a terror attack, and you saw a bunch of armed guards in riot gear walking around your street? You would be alarmed. So the mayor came out and said, don't be scared. There is no longer any threat. The threat is over. But you're going to see a presence because we want to make sure this doesn't happen again to any of you. We're here to protect you. So you're going to see these guards running around, the police. You're going to see our presence. And let me tell you something about the British police force. God bless them. The first responders to Saturday's attack. Do you know how long that attack lasted? 9/11/01 lasted 3.5 hours. Because it took a while before we figured out what was happening. Even after the second plane, everybody's like, oh, we're under attack. But, the other plane still got to hit the Pentagon. And those poor people got killed in Pittsburgh. 3.5 hours. In London on Saturday night, 8 minutes. 8 minutes. Now, granted, I'm not dissing the first responders for 9/11. I'm not. This was unprecedented, 9/11 in our country. But in London, 8 minutes. In 8 minutes, those three monsters were dead. 8 minutes. That's unbelievable. And this latest event in Orlando, which was a workplace shooting, something else we have to worry about in America. You're afraid. You have to be afraid to fire somebody because they're going to come back into your workplace with a gun and shoot up everybody. 5 people are dead, but 7 survived. Guess how long the response time was in Orlando when they got the first 911 call at 8:03? 2 minutes. By 8:05, the police were on the scene and the shooter was dead. The coward took his own life. And 7 people survived because of that. The minute the cops showed up, the coward shot himself. Another loser. Oh, I got fired. Must be somebody else's fault. Even though, couple years ago, the police were called to this same building for this same employee because he was causing a problem. He assaulted one of his workmates. So now in America, you have to be afraid to go to work if one of your coworkers has recently been fired and might be a little pissed off about that. Isn't that sad? See, this is why I'm glad I don't work outside my house. I don't work in an office environment where if somebody gets fired because I've never been a boss, I don't fire people, but you know what? This dude didn't just kill the boss who fired him. He killed other people too. Innocent people who had nothing to do with him getting fired. But the police responded in 2 minutes. And because of that, 7 people in that building, 7 of the 12 are alive. And they're going to go home to their families tonight. So good for the Orlando police. Good for the London first responders. Wow, 8 minutes. Yes, 48 people were wounded. A lot of the people killed, though, were actually killed by the car hitting people, not by the stabbing. And that's due to the quick response of the first responders, and it is due to the fact that the victims themselves refused to be victims. They threw chairs, they threw glasses, they threw tables at their attackers. And that saved lives as well. Fight back. Don't be a victim. Let them know you're not going to go quietly. We are free people. And that means that when we are under attack, we fight back. If you fuck with me, I fuck back. Harder. And that's the message we need to send to these monsters. And that's the message that Donald Trump, the President of the United States of America, should be sending to the world. Instead of making snap judgments, hearing press conferences in his own mind with the little voice that talks to him, when he should be just listening and not listening to his evil Donald on this side. He should be listening to good Donald. He should have really listened to the mayor. And maybe if he wasn't sure before he thumbed send that tweet button, maybe he should have seen it again. Really listened to the mayor of London. Heard his words. I have made the mistake often of misrepresenting or misunderstanding something that I hear one time. I have actually seen a movie, and then I see it a second time, and I see it differently. I'm like, oh, I missed that the first time. So my advice to Donald, like, not like he's listening to little political Paula, but stop embarrassing the American people in front of the world. You know, I like the British people. I have a lot of British friends. I have a lot of British viewers on this show. So please stop insulting my friends. Please stop insulting our allies that we need. Believe it or not, Donald doesn't think he needs anybody because it's, we're isolationists now. But we need England. We need Germany. We should be nice to Angela Merkel. We should be nice to Theresa May and the British people. Because, he's nice to Putin. He's even nice to the North Koreans. He's nice to the people who hate us the most, and he's being really wicked to those who have always stood with us and supported us and loved us. After 9/11, there were vigils in England and in France and in Germany that said, we stand with America. There were flowers and, remember 9/11. I don't think there were any vigils in North Korea or Russia for us. I don't think so. Yet these are the people that our president admires. He admires dictators and doesn't admire the people who have always loved America and stood with us and now feel they can't even count on us in their times of need and trouble. Thanks to Donald Trump, his thumbs, and his fucking Twitter account. It's funny how Theresa May said that Facebook and Twitter, they need to start regulating more. I have an idea. Hey, Twitter, the first account you need to cancel if you start regulating foul stuff on Twitter, stuff that people really shouldn't see, cancel POTUS's account. Political Paula, out.